What's up, people? How you guys doing? Another live stream. Joey Talks Boxing. Doing good, feeling good. I wanted to recap the year. I know we're already into the new year, 10 days in, but the year in 2022 in boxing. So I want to talk about the different fights that happened, different awards that I'm going to be giving out, and just the landscape of the year as a whole. Now, for me, 2022 was not a massive year in boxing. I didn't think it was anything special, in terms of the fights that were made or whatnot. I thought there were some good fights, but obviously certain fights like Spence Crawford, that didn't happen. That could have happened. There was some talk about Joshua and Fury. That fight didn't happen. Just not a great year in boxing, but still had some quality boxing. So let's kick it off now with the just fighter of the year. For me, fighter of the year has got to be Dimitri Bivol. Beat Canelo. I was there in Vegas. It was crazy. The whole place was pulling for Canelo, and he went in there and won the fight. Gotta give it to him. And then he beats Gilbert Ramirez, who at the time was a top three light heavyweight in the world, and really just completely outclassed him. So you're talking about the number one pound for pound guy you beat, and you be a top three guy in your weight class. To me, that's an easy choice for fighter of the year. I know Shakur Stevenson had a good year. I know Devin Haney will beat Kim Bosis twice and became undisputed. I know Jermell Charlo became undisputed by knocking out Brian Castano. But for me, without question, the fighter of the year, I should say, is uh, you know, Dimitri Bivol. I think that's without a doubt pretty self-explanatory. I don't think anyone's going to have a big argument for that one. I think that's pretty clear. Dimitri Bivol is fighter of the year. As far as the best win in boxing for the year, just a great his victory, that would be Bivol versus Canelo. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Also, like I just said, that's got to be it. Um, I think that's pretty clearly the victory of the year. To beat Bivol, to beat Canelo and do it in that fashion. Fire of the year, victory of the year. No doubt about it. For me, I think if I had to pick a runner-up, I'll probably go with either Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson. Probably Haney, honestly, because the guy did go to Australia twice and completely outclassed George Kambosos. So to me, that's pretty special. I'll say this: if you're separating men and women, but a very good fight also was Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. And I'm not usually so into women's boxing, but I got to give them that. That was a big time fight for women's boxing, and that was great to see. You had Eddie Hearn there, Jake Paul there. Credit to everyone involved because women's boxing doesn't headline Madison Square Garden ever, and for them to headline it and take full advantage and make a fight like that, which was so great and so close, I think that was unbelievable. So, pretty simple for that. No complaints there. Just looking at my phone for the other awards. I don't want to miss any categories. Uh, All right, let's get to certain stuff in this. I'm going to go with knockout of the year next. For me, there were a lot of great knockouts this year, but it really came down to these two, Wilder, and they happened on the same card, Wilder and Helenius and Caleb Plant and I'm forgetting the name now. Durrell. Yeah. Um, Durrell, yeah. To me, it's got to be Plant Durrell. The way he set him up and knocked him out with that left hook was just so vicious and so unexpected. Wilder and Helenius, I don't rate Helenius as highly as I rate Durrell, and I think that Wilder versus Helenius was a great knockout, but he was kind of like coming forward and kind of walked into the punch. With Durrell and Plant set him up the whole fight, and then boom, hit him with that big left hook. So for me, that's the knockout of the year. And it's actually funny because Plant is not a knockout artist normally, and Plant, the whole fight was, a lot of that fight, he was getting booed by the crowd for not being exciting enough. and he was, not he was getting mocked by Durrell that he was running from him, and then he knocks him out. So he's working with the new trainer Caleb Plant, Edwards. So maybe Stephen Edwards can find something with him. But that's in a fight I'm really anticipating this year is Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez. That's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for that fight. I don't think they've announced a date yet for that fight or a venue, but I know it's sometime in March or April. So definitely looking forward to that one. But that's my knockout of the year would be Caleb Plant beating, knocking out Durrell, Anthony Durrell. What other awards we got? We got Trainer of the Year. For me, this is an easy choice. Derrick James got to be Trainer of the Year. Train Spence, who dominated Ugas. Trained Jamel Charlo, who knocked out Brian Castano for the undisputed title. Which, by the way, I'm liking that trend in boxing. The boxers are going for undisputed because they used to not do that for a while because of the politics and stuff. But I like that that's being incentivized now. And Frank Martin, who beat the what was the kid's name? The Frank Martin beat the Will Smith lookalike, forgetting his name, Wilfredo Rivera. So to me, he's easily the trainer of the year, no doubt about it. I think that's an easy choice. What other awards were there? Upset of the year. For me, this one got interesting, but to me, it's got to be Hector Garcia completely dominating Chris Colbert. And Chris Colbert was a very highly regarded prospect at 130, and some people even said he was the best guy at 130. I didn't say that. I said Shakur was, but he was. Some people were saying he was even better than Shakur Stevenson, and he dominated him and dropped him and took control of that fight. And if you had just watched that fight for the last 2 rounds, you would think that Colbert was winning the fight and he was just, trying to buy time and, run around the ring because he had the fight in the bag. But he was fighting like a guy who had an 8-round lead, and really he was down in the fight. So it was a little bit disappointing from that angle, especially when you're a guy like Colbert who's kind of like talked all this game and like, braggadocio and like built yourself up and then you go out like that. But for me, that's the upset of the year. I know Bivol beat Canelo. That was an upset as well. But I know the cruiserweight Apataya beat Breda, but for me, those aren't comparable to this one. This was upset of the year, without a doubt. And then he got himself a big fight with Gervonta Davis. Obviously, he lost and got knocked out, but still, he got himself a big fight, Hector Garcia. So you got to give him that. He had the upset of the year. He was game. He came ready, and I think he was a fill-in opponent. I don't think he was Colbert's original opponent for that fight. So that was definitely interesting. For me, we got to go with performance of the year. This is an interesting one because Bivol, he's already gotten 2 awards. I know this is the Dimitri Bivol show now with Fighter of the Year and Victory of the Year. But I'm going to say for performance of the year, I like what Spence did versus Ugas better because he stopped Ugas and completely dominated every single portion of the fight. That's the best I've ever seen Spence look. I thought he was masterful in that fight. I know he had that one moment in the fight where he kind of like let his guard down and Ugas caught him and hurt him. You can't do that, obviously, if you fight Terence Crawford, because if you do that, you could get dropped in the fight. There's a good chance it's over because Crawford's the best finisher in the game. So he's got to be on his P's and Q's if he fights. I don't even know what P's and Q's means, but people just say that. He's got to be on his game to, at all times versus Terence Crawford. But for me, Errol Spence has the performance of the year. No doubt about it. Other ones were good, like Gervonta Davis. That's another one, by the way, for knockout of the year, Gervonta Davis and Rolly. But to me, Rolly wasn't at that level, and I expected that. Artur Beterbiev also stomping Joe Smith is that might be performance of the year. You know what? Is Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith a better performance than Spence and Ugas? Because I rate Ugas higher than Joe Smith, but Beterbiev knocked him out in 2 rounds and completely dominated him. You know what? I'm going to say Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith is the performance of the year, and Errol Spence versus Ugas is second because Spence did have that flaw in that fight where he did get caught badly, and you can't do that. And Artur Beterbiev, I know he doesn't have the flashy skills and the super speed and the textbook footwork. Although I think his footwork is a little bit underrated, and I think his defense is a little bit underrated. But he gets the job done, fighting his fight, imposing his will. He's so physical. He's so strong. Huge puncher. Got a chin. Underrated movement, I think. better than people credit him with, and he knows how to set up, and he's a master at cutting the ring off. And to me, if you want to teach someone how to do a pressure fight and get a big puncher out of there within a few rounds, you would watch the Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith fight. In terms of fighting his fight, he fought his fight the best I've ever seen him. So I'm going to say Artur Beterbiev actually is the performance of the year. Spence also fought his fight great, but he had that one lacking moment. But I think you could go either way. I think other guys who had great performances, obviously Bivol versus Gilbert Ramirez was amazing. Devin Haney versus Kambosos in the second fight. I look at the second fight as being a better performance than the first, because the first, to me, Kambosos didn't do everything he could have. In the second fight, Kambosos came out better, and Haney still was able to dominate. Crawford versus Avanesyan was also a great performance. I mean, he looked sensational. I mean, best I've seen him look in a while. And yeah, I mean, Shakur looked very good versus Oscar Valdez and Consejo. But for me, I'm going to say Artur Beterbiev knocking out Joe Smith in that fashion was the performance of the year. Going a little bit against the grain on that one. I'd like to know what you guys think on that. Who had the best performance in boxing this year? You know, Usyk and AJ is also another one you could throw in there, but I'm going to go Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith. Runner-up will be Errol Spence and Ugas, and then third will be Crawford and Avanesyan. No, third will be Bivol and Gilberto. Five will be Crawford Avanesyan. Four will be Crawford Avanesyan, and five will be maybe I might go Shakur, honestly, on that one. With I liked what he did versus Valdez, honestly. I thought that was really good. Yeah, I rate Valdez higher than Kambosos, even though Kambosos was undisputed at lightweight. But yeah, that's my performance of the year. Artur Beterbiev, Joe Smith. Ooh, that's also up there, by the way, for knockout of the year. What are some other awards that we can talk about? Let's talk about some of the big events. We had Josh Taylor versus Catterall, who I thought Catterall really won that fight. That was early in the year. It seems like so long ago. That was a big event. Canelo Bivol, like I said, I was there. That was a big event. Fury Chisora, they sold the house out. That was a big event. But for me, without question, the biggest event of the year was Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk in Saudi Arabia. I mean, that fight was huge. Joshua trying to get his titles back. The first fight was the event of the year in 2021. Frankly, when Anthony Joshua fights a big name, it's the event of the year. I'm sorry. He's the biggest name in boxing. He's the face of boxing. He is, when you talk about it from a global standpoint. And that fight versus Usyk, everything was on the line. And that's the only fight in boxing or MMA this year that did over 1 million pay-per-view buys. So, AJ's the king, in my opinion, of the gate. That's the event of the year. What a fight that was. AJ switched his training around, got Robert Garcia in there. And I thought he did better in that fight. But I thought still ultimately Usyk was able to win after, the first 9 rounds being probably slightly in favor of Usyk. AJ really hurt him. First 8 rounds, I should say. In the 9th round, AJ really hurt him. And, that was the most I've ever seen Usyk hurt. And Usyk looked uncomfortable in there. But what did Usyk do? As a great champion, he responds in the 10th round, dominates that round, 11th and 12th. Great fighter. And I think that Usyk, definitely arguably in that pound for pound number 1 spot. Speaking of which, could throw in Inoue with Butler as a great knockout and a great performance as well. Yeah. What are some other awards? Okay. This is a good one right here. Fight of the year. What was the fight of the year? This year, you didn't have a Wilder Fury 3. You didn't have Baranchuk versus Zepeda. You didn't have a Canelo Triple G2. You didn't have anything of that caliber. AJ Klitschko, there was nothing of that caliber. I think for me, the fight of the year has to be Laywood and Michael Conlan. That was pretty epic. I mean, to have it go back and forth like that. If you haven't seen the fight yet, I don't want to ruin it too much for you, but it was an unbelievable fight. Both guys were dropped. Both guys came from adversity and had a scintillating result. That probably is the fight of the year for me. I think that Taraji and Hiraguchi also at the lower weights, that was a really good fight. I thought that those really were the main two. Charlo Castano was also a really good fight, but I don't think it was as good as those two. I think that the best fight was Laywood, Michael Conlan. Very, very, very epic fight. Um, I think that, yeah, listen, it wasn't a great year for boxing, but that was a great fight. Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall, another very good fight. But for me, Michael Conlan, Laywood, that is the fight of the year. Let me see what other categories I'm missing. So I just don't want to miss anything for anyone. I talked about trainer of the year. I talked about fighter of the year, knockout of the year, performance of the year, victory of the year, event of the year. I guess if you want to talk prospect of the year, for me, I'll go with Jared Anderson. I think he's a heavyweight phenom, and I think he's going to be the guy going forward in American boxing and really just in heavyweight boxing in general. His performances versus Jerry Forrest, and he had one before that, or I don't remember who he fought, but I like what I'm seeing. I think guys like Xander Zayas, Keyshawn Davis, Frank Martin, if you want to even call him a prospect, still, because he to me is already at contender level. I think those guys are prospects of the year, material. But let me see if I missed out on anything that was any good. And who, who was some like what were some other big time awards that I'm missing? Oh, okay. Here's a good one right here. Round of the year. I didn't even think of that because I'm always thinking, fight of the year. You know, um, I would probably say round of the year would be Laywood and Michael Conlan, the last round of that fight. Yeah, that has to be the round of the year. But a ridiculous round as well, though. This might actually be a better round. I'm gonna take that back. That was the best fight of the year. But the round of the year, Kiyoguchi and Taraji, round five. That was correct. I think it was either round five or round six. I think it was round five. Ridiculous, ridiculous fight, ridiculous round. The changing, the turning point back and forth in that round was pretty epic. It was, I had to watch that middle of the day because it was on Japanese time, and I'm not getting up that early. But it was pretty freaking cool, when I saw that one. But what are some other awards that I'm missing out on? Uh, upset of the year. I said it was Colbert. I know other upsets happened, like Gary Russell got upset, but I don't think that's such a big upset considering how much time Gary Russell was out of the ring. And what am I missing? Knockout of the year, upset of the year, trainer of the year. Who could I put in there? Who have I not talked about yet? I mean, because thinking all the weight classes. I think the disappointing fight of the year probably would be Canelo Triple G3. I don't think that fight was great, and not only was it not a great fight, but like at least if you're going to make a lopsided fight, make it where have it where like Canelo could knock him out or something, and Canelo couldn't do that. So that was a little bit disappointing. I thought that was something that was pretty good. No joke. I'm not gonna say this is a fight of the year, but it was a good fight. Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva was a good fight. I'm not gonna say fight of the year, but it was a good fight. By the way, Ring Magazine, or it was not Ring, it was ESPN last year who made Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley the knockout of the year. Get out of here with that. That's clown stuff right there. That's clown behavior. But what awards am I missing? I don't think there was. They're talking comeback of the year. Who made a comeback this year in boxing that was like notable? I mean, it wasn't AJ because AJ didn't win his titles back. Could you say Canelo made a comeback beating Triple G? No. Like who even made a comeback this year in boxing? I don't even know if there is a comeback of the year. It can't be Donaire. It can't be anyone who's established. I guess the comeback fight of the year is Caleb Plant, just because he came back from the knockout versus Canelo and came back to knock out a very good Anthony Durrell. But Yeah, I can't even say Wilder may comeback of the year because like who'd you fight? Helenius? Uh yeah, I'm thinking I'm going through like my my database in my head. Who had a good comeback in boxing? I don't know. The state of boxing though in 2022 was too many fights didn't happen. I want to see Tank and Ryan Garcia. Hopefully we see that next. I want to see Crawford Spence. I want to see Bivol and um Beterbiev. This is 2023 I'm talking here. I want Canelo Benavides. I want the big fights. I want Fury Usyk. I want Wilder Joshua. I want the best people fighting the best people. And I would love to see a Inoue versus Stephen Fulton at 122. That would be freaking crazy. But this is what I'm talking about for 2023. This is what I want. A 2023 wish list right here. I want, first off, I want Bam Rodriguez fighting Estrada if he's going to go back up to that weight. Make that happen. He's ready for that. Maybe the size is too much, but I don't think it is. Then we go Inoue and Fulton, Stephen Fulton, 135 or 136 with the 10 catch weight. Davis versus Ryan Garcia. I'm hearing that's going to happen, so I'm hearing good things about that. Lomachenko Haney for the undisputed title at 135. At 140, I would like to see some form of one of these matchups. Josh Taylor, Regis Progress, and Teofimo Lopez. I need one of those three, two of those three fighting each other. I need a Josh Taylor Progress second fight, Josh Taylor Teofimo Lopez, or Progress Teofimo Lopez. I think Lopez needs one more fight at 140 to get his confidence up and get some things out. Even though I thought he beat Sandor Martin, I didn't think that it was a very good performance by him. I know it's a tough style to look good against, but still, I didn't like what I saw from Teofimo in that fight. I would like to see him have one more fight at that weight. 147, we all know what the fight has to be made. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., period. That fight's got to be made. 154, I know Charlo's fighting Zub. I know Charlo got injured, so that there's no fight that I think Charlo has to do at 154 because I think Charlo's become undisputed and nobody has really built up a name to the point where I feel like, oh, I got to see Charlo fight that guy. And I wouldn't mind it if he moved up to 160 after the Zoo fight. 160, I want to see Janibek and Mangia, but that's not a super fight. I don't think neither guy's elite. I don't really care if Triple G fights Lara or not. Like, those are just old men fights at this point. They're both past their prime. 168, I need Canelo fighting David Benavidez. And preferably the winner fighting Charlo. Preferably. 175, Bivol and Beterbiev. Then a heavyweight, you got to have Usyk and Fury, and then Wilder and Joshua. And how about the winners fight each other again? Even if Fury beats Usyk and Wilder beats Joshua, I still would want to see another Fury versus Wilder fight. Why not do a Wilder Fury 4? After the third fight was so great, why not? And yeah, people say Fury is, the big advantage, which I think he does. But if there's anyone who embodies puncher's chance, it's Deontay Wilder. So those are the fights I want to see in 2023. Period, man. I want to see the best fight the best. I think that's what boxing's about, and that's what boxing needs. I want to see all these guys fight. Run through it again, and we'll go from heavyweight down. Wilder Joshua, Fury Usyk, Beterbiev Bivol, Canelo Benavidez, Spence Crawford, Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez, and Regis Progress in some fashion. Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko. And I wouldn't mind the winner of that fight going with Shakur after that, but whatever. I don't want to get greedy. Stephen Fulton versus Naoya Inoue, and Juan Estrada versus what's his name? Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Like, why not make that happen? Because he just beat Ron Gonzalez. Estrada, Bam beat Rung Visai. Why not make that happen? I think these are the fights in boxing that should happen. But you know how boxing is. I want 10 different fights to happen, and we'll be lucky if we get three of them to happen. And that's what's hurting the sport, you know, more than anything. But let me know what you guys think. What fights do you want to see in 2023? Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace.